This sound was recorded on July 3rd.
Be all right for him. And...
Oh, stop worrying. He can always get back to doing good if he don't eat much. After all, he ain't going there for food, is he?
No, but he doesn't eat very much, really.
Well, looks of him, I reckon if he eat a bit less, it might be a good idea.
Yes.
Talk about a barrel. Roll out the barrel, we'll have a barrel of fun. Roll out the barrel, we've got the blues on the run. Is it?
Yes. A nice tone it has. Sing again.
Oh, now you've embarrassed me.
Oh dear, oh dear.
Because this is all an act.
Eh?
I'm doing it for your benefit, to cheer you up, make you laugh. Until the others get ready.
Yes, I see. Who are the others, darling?
Well, who do you think? Number 1 blue-eyed wonder boy.
I think he's marvelous, you know.
Blue-eyed wonder boy.
Anyway, he adores you.
Well, that's all right, I don't mind. You got a cold?
Well, no, I'm sneezing for the last 2-3 days. It's nothing. It's the summer. I don't know what to do. Oh, Mickey, I miss your voice and everybody's voices.
Do you really?
Yes. Never mind, I've got all the recordings.
Well, what about all them months and months and months when you didn't get a chance to talk to us? You must have missed us then.
I did.
But what?
Yes. But you see, I had not an invalid to look after, but, oh well, what's good use of going into details? I wrote and told Marlowe all about it, but he never got my letter.
Hello, Rose.
Hello, Dr. dear. I knew you would come.
Well, I felt tonight of all nights that I should come.
Yes.
After all, it may be quite a little while before we can talk together again.
What do you mean, maybe quite a
it's
little while?
only right that I should come and talk to you tonight.
Well,
We've had some very happy times, many, many happy evenings, many opportunities to converse one with the other, and we've discussed many, many things.
Those are all the things that I'm going to play over and over and over again. I hope there won't be too many disturbances.
Well, I'm sure they will give you great pleasure and great happiness
Oh, I'm just
while
coming.
we're away. Although in a sense we shan't be away because we shall be very close to you. There won't be a day passes that we don't come and see you and spend a little time with you and do what we can for you as best we can.
Thank you, Doctor.
And I don't think we're going to be overworked on this so-called holiday, and in any case I don't intend that we shall be. We've committed ourselves to do so much, and that is it.
And yes, he's just exactly what he's going to keep to what he said he would.
Well, he'd better, because otherwise he'll be wasting other people's time and his own. My intention is that he should have some sort of a rest anyway, and a holiday. Change of scene and air and food, everything should do him the world of good.
Yes.
But he must be very insistent about not over-sitting. In any case, as I say, it'll be a waste of time and effort. I think our friend will be satisfied with his 4 sittings. I hope so. If he isn't, it's just too bad, but I think he's a very reasonable, generous, kind sort of person.
Yes.
And I think he understands the medium needs a change and a rest, and
I'm
sure he'll be cooperative.
I wish he would Mum should make him understand the reason why he can't give him more.
Well, I think he has common sense. I think he understands. He's a very nice person. I have no reason to think otherwise. He's always behaved very well indeed at the sittings and has shown a very sincere, genuine and keen interest. And even on one occasion, if I remember, when little or nothing happened at all, he was quite understanding about it.
Oh, good.
Anyway, I don't mind him going, except that, of course, I suppose I was a bit sort of concerned because I had this feeling he might be expected to do too much.
Yes.
Of course, naturally, I want him to have a complete and absolute rest, and I hope the weather will be good. I think the sunshine is important.
Perhaps later on he may take...
Well, we won't talk about later on. If this trip goes off well, as I see no reason why it shouldn't be, it should suffice him for this year. And start talking about other expenses. I know how your brain ticks over, Rose. We'll talk about that later if necessary. At the moment, he's going to have 3 weeks complete change and quite a good bit of rest, and I think the fresh, clean air will do him more good.
Yes, yes.
And that's the important thing. The sunshine's important too. And let's hope the sun does shine. I think it probably will. You know you're an artful little creature.
So are you.
Yes, I know how your brain ticks over. You look upon this as a preliminary. But we won't think and talk about the future. Let's talk just about the moment.
All right.
You know, Rose, I always want you to know this, and I think you do know without my telling you, as you probably have had enough experience of the past. We are not infallible. We make mistakes.
Oh, I know.
Let's freely admit it. I say we make mistakes. They're not intentional, of course, but sometimes things don't go quite the way we would like them to go, and sometimes our plans are inclined to go astray, go awry, you know. But we do everything we can, and we do our utmost to look after you and to do all we possibly can and look after the medium.
Yes.
We can't do more than that.
No. Oh, yes, I understand that.
Anyway, I think I ought to make way for our other friends.
Thank you for coming,
It's a
Doctor.
bon voyage night.
He's talking to you, Mark.
Oh, thank you very much. I forgot, yes.
You would forget, wouldn't you? Bon voyage and a happy holiday,
Thank you.
and have a rest.
Bless you, Doctor, dear.
And who's getting all the guidance tonight?
No, Marshall is just talking to the medium. How are you?
Oh, I'm very well, thanks. And you?
Oh, fine.
Good.
I must ask you a question
Oh, what's that?
before you start.
I got an idea what it is. So carry on. What is it?
What is it? You tell
Is
me.
it to do with your friend Frederick?
No.
Oh, well, I must... All right, well, what do you want to ask me?
Well, I was just going to say that I'm very much stronger and feeling very much better altogether.
Oh.
Have you been doing anything?
Oh, yes, well, I wasn't thinking... Yes, I have. I've been giving you treatment for your leg, too.
Yes.
That, I'm hoping that you will feel a lot fitter and a lot stronger.
I remember you telling me that, and
Well, it would take a little time.
I'm almost running around.
Yes, but don't run too much too quickly. I mean, for heaven's sake, don't go and spoil
No, no.
Keep,
All right.
keep steady on your toes, on your feet. You mustn't start rushing around.
No, all right.
Don't think you can do everything. I mean, you must be sensible.
All right, sir. I just want
I
to
mean,
know.
don't undo all the good work we've done,
Huh?
You mustn't go and undo all the good work we're doing.
No.
Don't think by that I don't want you to get about and do things, and I'm sure Marshall would agree, but, I mean, for heaven's sake, don't overtax yourself.
No, all right.
You certainly are a lot better,
Yes.
in every sense, in every way.
Thank you very, very much, Stephen.
Oh, dear, it's going to be a long 3 weeks.
I know.
Drat it. Why do people want holidays?
Now, you said the other day...
Oh, yes, I know. I'm only just saying that. I mean, dash it, I think he deserves it. I'm all for it, but it would be just now when things seem to be just right.
Never mind. You just do a lot of work while he's away, and when he comes back, you have...
You want me to do a lot of work while he's away?
What I mean to say...
I don't intend to, because I'm quite sure our friend out there won't be very interested in me. In fact, although I don't know, he's probably a very broad-minded sort of person. He might welcome you with open arms.
No, I mean on your side of life.
Oh, I see. I thought you meant in communicating.
No.
As I say, it won't be much of a holiday if I'm expected to come through a natter. In any case, I much prefer to natter to you. I'm not very keen on going to speak to strangers. Although he's probably quite a nice person.
I may get hold of somebody else. I don't know.
Oh, really?
And perhaps you may be able to speak. I don't know. I'm not sure. I can't say yet. He did come once, but it's not the same as this one, Stephen.
Oh, you mean the young chap?
Yes, how do you know?
Oh, you mean that other person's friend that I've seen here, that's been here, that came recently? You mean,
yes.
I don't know what is it, Anthony or something?
Tony, yes.
Yeah, oh, I know who you mean. Oh, he's quite psychic.
Yes, he's very psychic.
Oh, well, that'll be interesting. Anyway, there's no harm in having a go. If it's
No.
possible to get through, I will.
Yes, you try and come through if you can. That would be very interesting.
No, I try my best. I do my best.
But he's got a guide or whatever you call it who speaks through him. You won't be able to speak.
I can't say at the moment. I mustn't promise anything in that direction because I really
No.
don't know.
Hello.
Sorry about the break.
All right. What happened there, Stephen?
Just lost contact.
Oh. You all right now?
Yes, thank you. I'm thinking. This is stupid. I can't get my mind clear.
All right. I won't speak. You'll just...
He's having trouble. He's probably having trouble.
He said he was thinking, he can't get his mind clear. I think I'd better say something around. I've been playing over Howard Carter's,
Oh, yes, of course, you had a tape of that.
and Amenhotep spoke before he arrived on
yes.
scene.
Mm-hmm.
I want to tell him that, but let's see what happens, I don't know. Stephen?
Yes.
Can I talk?
Yes, please do. It might help.
Oh, yes.
I seem to have got stuck.
Well, I see. All right. You remember you telling me about Howard Carter?
Oh, yes, Carter, yes.
The Egyptologist.
Yeah.
Well, I played over the recording when he spoke to me. And Amenhotep, pharaoh of Egypt, about 3,000 years ago, he came and spoke in Egyptian, but of course I couldn't understand a word he said.
Well, that should have been interesting.
Very, but nobody can understand it.
Have you tried to get it deciphered?
Well, I have tried. I've had 3 or 4 Egyptians speak to me, and a padre once took the recording to Cambridge,
Yes.
to the students there, but just the exception of one or two words, they couldn't understand. It was ancient Egyptian.
I see. And of course that would have no resemblance whatsoever to modern Egyptian, I suppose.
No. Well, that's the trouble. And what he has told you, he told me exactly the same thing.
Did he really?
Yes.
Oh, I'm glad of that.
I
It
know.
sort of adds up.
Yes.
You know, if I were in your position, I'd be exactly the same, you know. I mean,
Yes.
it's terribly interesting if you get confirmation. I mean, if you get an interval perhaps of 3 or 4 years or something,
Yes.
and something is said that confirms something that was said previously all that time back, it must be very thrilling.
Oh, thrilling.
Because you're really, in a sense, more of a sort of psychical researcher than you are a sort of spiritualist. You know, you're a wily old thing, really, in a way, aren't you?
Well, I don't know if I'm
I mean,
right.
you're very, very sympathetic and all that, very understanding, and make allowances, of course, as one must, I should imagine, this
Yes.
sort of thing. But at the same time, you're quite a devil for proof, aren't you?
Yes, I am. So would you be?
Oh yes, I'd be a downside. Well, of course, I would be. I mean, frankly, I would be not exactly
I
suspicious.
think we're very alike in lots
Well, I
of
think we
ways.
probably are.
Yes.
But I think if I'd been as many years as you probably have in this subject, of
Yes.
course, I would be in the same position as you. I mean, obviously, I didn't know very much about it. In fact, I hardly knew anything about this. I had my hand read once or twice, but that's rather different.
No,
Certainly didn't prove correct in my case.
Oh, that is stupid for us.
Oh, the bumps on one's head, you know. This
Oh,
denotes
yes.
that. I suppose there is something in all this.
Well, there is
Is
something.
that phrenology, isn't it, or something?
Phrenology, yes.
Oh, yes, I was phrenologized, or whatever it was once.
Oh, what did they tell you?
Pardon?
What did they tell
Oh,
you?
the usual claptrap, you know, that I got quite a brilliant brain and that I had artistic tendencies and that I would make a great success in the world and in fact, some of the things, when you look at it, I mean, rather extraordinary. They did happen, but not quite in the way that one would have anticipated. I certainly got the notoriety anyway.
Yeah.
Anyway, that's all in the past. I don't want to talk about having bumps read. Let's talk about something sensible.
Yes.
You know, this whole business of coming back still astounds me. I still find it so, well, fantastic to think that one really can. In this business of speaking, this sort of being able to sort of, in some strange way, be able to manifest and be able to convey one's thoughts through this mechanism, or whatever you like to call it,
Can you see the mechanism there?
Well, yes and no. That sounds stupid, but what I'm very conscious of is a sort of solidified mass, which is constantly, in a sense, changing. It's a living energy, it's a living power, a living vitality, which seems to make it possible to sort of manipulate in some strange way what presumably are vocal organs that are obviously sort of artificially created, and it's a concentration of one's thought that manipulates them, and they respond and vibrate and create sound waves, but it's getting over one's sort of self. I don't know, it's not so bad. It's bad enough getting over one's thoughts, but it's much more difficult to be able to sort of get yourself over. That's the odd thing. Sort of combination of the things you want to say or convey and your sort of real personality or self as you know yourself. It's as if you've got to sort of almost think of yourself. I know it sounds stupid, but not that one can remember necessarily how one's voice sounds, because I always remember the first time I heard myself on a recorder. I thought, my God, is that really me? You know, one doesn't recognize oneself, and to hear oneself is an odd thing, and it's as if I'm concentrating as I am my thoughts and trying to convey things, and also hearing in the vibration and the response of my thoughts and making it into sound, and then you responding. It's as if I'm doing 3 or 4 things all at once. It's most peculiar. And sometimes, of course, it goes wrong. Sometimes I sort of feel out of tune, which I discover I am, and that I'm not registering at all, and it's pretty disappointing. But, you know, it's the most peculiar business. I think the more, in a sense, this sounds also another contradiction,
Yes.
the less you think about yourself,
Yes.
the better it is. And yet at the same time, you've got to be conscious of yourself to register. But I think it is that you've just got to have complete and absolute sort of, well, here goes sort of thing, and
Yes.
get down to it, you know, and sort
Yes.
of natter away, or concentrate your thought like mad on things that you're very conscious of that you want to convey. I think the whole secret of this, frankly, is to have something important to say and concentrate yourself on getting that over and forgetting, in a sense, whether you sound right. I think that's what got me at first, the sort of feeling as if I was, I don't know, as if my voice was the other end of a megaphone or something. It was like his master's voice sort of thing, but in reverse. It was peculiar.
You had a light baritone, hadn't you? Speaking voice.
Oh, I don't know, did I? Who said so? I suppose I did.
So.
I certainly wasn't basso profundo.
What?
I wasn't basso profundo.
No,
And I wasn't soprano. I think my register was quite normal.
Yes. It's a very, very pleasant speaking
I
voice.
certainly didn't have falsetto. No, I think my voice was quite ordinary.
Yes.
I think I spoke quite naturally and quite normally and not too loudly. I think when I had a drink, or perhaps I was excited, I might have sort of got a bit louder without realizing
Yes, that's the time.
sometimes people used to think I got a bit hysterical, but I didn't really get hysterical. At least I wasn't conscious of getting hysterical. I was conscious of sometimes getting wound up, sort of letting go, you know.
Yes.
And I suppose possibly my voice was louder then because of the fact I was talking about something that I was interested in,
Yes.
and I wanted to emphasize, and when I wanted to emphasize, I suppose my voice sort of took on a higher tone or pitch.
Your
and
emphasis
people...
always comes in the right place.
Does it? Oh, I don't know
yes,
if I...
wonderful.
Oh, right, well, that's worth knowing.
Yes.
But, it's
I thought
extraordinary
I
now, in a world where voice isn't important, now I'm discovering that, in a sense, voice is very important in regard to getting through. If it weren't for the fact that I have to... I mean, if it weren't for the fact that I'm having to learn how to concentrate my thoughts to produce a voice, I wouldn't care tuppence about my voice. Over here it doesn't really matter. One can convey so much by one's sort of thoughts that it's automatically received. You don't have to make any effort. I think that's the whole point. Over here, I don't feel as if there's any effort in communication with people, or conveying my thoughts and them receiving them, and also vibrating over here as I do on your side when I come and talk to you. But the point is, it's the atmosphere is so different. Everything here seems so fresh and so clear. It's the world. Well, of course it is. We know a very, very different world, but I don't know that we have air in the same sense that as you'd understand the meaning of the term. But certainly there is a feeling of a tang. I don't know how to put this. Of freshness and a awareness of. It's as if everything is pulsating and everything about one is full of life and vitality. And it's as if you're on absolutely top form. It's as if there's no feeling of weight, there's no heaviness, there's no sort of feeling that anything is an effort. It's a tremendous, exciting experience, I think, when one first becomes truly aware of oneself and one's conditions here. This feeling of lightness, this feeling of air, cleanliness, and it's so different, you know, honestly, to anyone who's lived in a city, anyone who's been where there's so much noise and traffic and everything is polluted, you know, the atmosphere in more ways than one. It's as if you, in a sense, are living a life which is so clear and fresh and one feels so full of energy and vitality that nothing seems to be really an effort.
No, there's no darkness or anything like that.
Well, I've not experienced any darkness, but I'm told that there is a form of darkness, but it really is the darkness of the mind, you see, which creates the sort of darkness. Although you see, of course, that evidently there are spheres which are sort of, I suppose you call them darkness of a kind, but possibly to anyone going from, for instance, my sphere to theirs, it would seem very much a kind of foggy and heavy atmosphere. But I've never felt that, really. I suppose in a way, in my early weeks of coming over here, as I was in a sort of bewildered kind of state, and I was sort of drifting between this world and yours, and I suppose I had no real foundation, of course, and I was feeling a little embittered, and
Yes.
well, I was feeling pretty grim actually,
Yes.
and it was as if I couldn't settle my mind, and therefore I couldn't settle into any vibrational condition either on your side or this. But of course all that's in the past.
Yes.
Now I'm in a condition of life which is so free and fresh and clean, and I feel such a new person.
I know, and just as free as your mind always has
Yes.
been on the earth. You know, it's a wonderful thing that you can. I don't think there's ever been any tightness in you, or while you were living on the earth.
Well,
You're a very natural sort of man.
Yes, that's true, but I wouldn't say that I didn't have what you term as a tightness or sort of feeling of restriction. I suppose it is that in a sense that I was, to some extent anyway, breaking the golden rules, left, right and centre at times, but still, I think that when you don't conform, I think that's the whole
Yes,
point.
yes.
You see, I found it extremely difficult to conform. In fact, I didn't conform, and in the end I sort of didn't even bother to try and conform.
Yes.
It's true, I mean, I have to face the obvious fact that at certain times with certain people, because I felt it was very essential or necessary, either for business or for other reasons, to put on a sort of false front.
Yes.
I suppose everyone does,
Yes.
to a certain extent.
Yes.
You can't help it. But generally speaking, I certainly kicked over the traces, and I didn't care tuppence about public opinion, and
Yes.
I certainly didn't care very much about the opinions of certain people who, well, quite frankly, I suppose I shouldn't say it. I wouldn't say I
Yes.
despise them, but I just felt I
I
had
know,
nothing in
I
common.
know
you know.
exactly what you mean.
It's very difficult, you see. I mean,
Yes.
one had to some extent toe the line.
Yes.
But at the same time, it was very difficult because by my very nature, I hated having to be false. Really, I hated having to have a facade and sometimes say and do things which I didn't really feel or didn't believe
Yes,
in.
yes.
I suppose everyone to some extent has to conform. I had to conform to some extent, but when it was possible to not conform, I certainly didn't conform.
Yes.
But I don't know. I look back and I see myself, and
Oh.
I see the mistakes, of course. But generally speaking, I'm not sorry for many things which, frankly, I think that it's the only way to live. I mean,
Yes.
I think that you can be stupid about these things. I
Yes,
think
many
that
people are.
you see, that's the
Yes.
trouble. And
Yes.
then they're full of inhibitions, they're full of repressions, and they're artificial, and they're embittered, and as they
Yes.
get older, I think they become warped, you know.
Yes.
And I think that's stupid, because if you're going to fight nature, if you're going to fight yourself, not only in a physical, sexual
Yes.
sense, I don't mean that, but in other ways, people do, you know.
Yes.
They sort of feel they must sort of fit in, they must be accepted, they must be sort of like everybody else, otherwise
Go
people
with
are
the
going to
crowd,
talk
sort
about
of
them.
thing.
So
Oh.
stupid, really.
Yes.
Because each individual is an individual, or should be an individual, and that's what makes people interesting, it's what makes life exciting. If everyone were cast in the same mould, it would be depressing and dull and uninteresting, and life would be an absolute bore. It's because people can be and are individuals, that it is the individuals indeed, the odd people who stand out, that are the interesting people, and the people who have such tremendously interesting personalities.
Yes.
They're the people who make a mark in some shape or form, for good or for evil, if you like, but nevertheless they certainly leave an imprint behind, don't they?
Yes.
I mean, the dull, ordinary, drab people, I mean, they're very sweet in many ways, but they're very dull, and then they're very dull to each other, and they're very dull to themselves, and they live a very prosaic, sort of uninteresting, orthodox sort of existence from birth to grave, and one wonders why they ever bothered to, well, why they were ever born, or why they ever bothered to survive at all, or make the effort if they ever made a real effort. You know, it all seems so bloody pointless, you see. I mean, well, doesn't it? It really is, sir. I mean, after all said and done, anybody can be a clot.
Yeah, Stephen. Oh, that's wonderful.
And let's face it, I mean, with all due respect, I mean, I love all humanity, I really do, I sincerely mean that, but such a large number of people are really rather stupid, And I think if they were to speak the honest-to-God truth, particularly people who've reached late middle age, and look back over their lives and see what an absolute drab, dreary mess it's been, if they were truthful, they would have loved to have kicked the traces and done things and experimented and gone this way instead of that way.
Of course.
I mean, so many of them take the old narrow road and, sort of, well...
That's what brings out a lot of jealousy, malice,
But
spite,
so many
all
are
sorts of things.
afraid to do anything different.
Yes.
I mean, I know that, of course, a lot of people, in a sense, have to conform. I realise the difficulties. I mean, wouldn't like anyone to think that I wasn't aware of the difficulties. Everybody, in a sense, can't be a nonconformist. But the point is that I think that if everybody were a little bit more nonconformist in their outlook, in other words, if they had a more liberal mind and a more broad mind and a more open mind,
Yes.
I think that the whole world would be much happier and much more sensible in their way of life.
Yes.
And I think a lot of this intolerance would go from people between races, between peoples of different nationalities. I think a lot of the old barriers would have broken down, and there would eventually, I really honestly think this, that there will come a different outlook upon the world, and possibly from out of all this, a new realization of where life would come, and there'd be a greater peace among people.
Oh, yes.
I mean, so many of these people have twisted minds. They never admit it, or very rarely admit it, but really, in some ways, their minds are far more twisted than the people they condemn.
Right. The three great things in life, I think, are sympathy, tolerance, and understanding, which is a great thing in life.
Well, I think one of
And
the most important things is tolerance.
Yes.
Because if you can learn to be tolerant, then you can learn a great deal, and you yourself can really progress because of that tolerance. But I think that so many people are very intolerant. Mind you, there is such a thing as righteous indignation, if you like to call it righteous indignation. I think that it doesn't mean to say you've got to go through life and just be taken for one long ride. Indeed, so many people do. I think there are times when you must exert yourself and put your point of view or stand up for yourself. I think that every man, I think it's a human instinct for man to protect himself. I think it's a very natural instinct. But at the same time, I don't think there's enough love and understanding among people. I think people generally, well, quite frankly, I think a lot of people are very intolerant.
yes, that's quite true. You had a great tolerance, I think, Stephen, according to what I
Well, one
read.
had to have.
Yes.
I think one of the things I learned early on was to live and let live.
That's
I think that was my maxim.
Yes.
And I think possibly what hurt me more than anything was the fact that people just wouldn't let me live, and there was no other way out but the way I took. And I can honestly say that I did not do anything, in a sense, that I would really say was criminal. I mean,
No, never,
derogatory. I always did what I could to help people.